Welcome everybody. In this short demo we are going to see how the benchmarking schedule functionality works and how to use it. The functionality allows the users in the Quality of Experience portal to execute on periodic basis a set of benchmarking tests against one or more cloud providers and publish the results on the portal for later analysis. This allows to an adopter of the cloud to monitor and compare the performance of different providers, or allows a provider to assess the performance of its own infrastructure. The QoE portal is composed by different microservices running in Docker containers. There are 4 microservices that concur in the realization of the benchmarking functionality. We have the QoE portal, which is the web graphical interface used to schedule new execution and show the results. There is the QoE storage, which is the backend database that stores the schedules for benchmarking and the results of the test. There is the benchmarking scheduler that acts a little bit like a cron for benchmarkings and triggers the execution of tests at the right time. And finally we have the benchmarking command line container, which takes care of executing the test on the target cloud provider and parse the results and store the results in the QoE storage. To demonstrate how these components interact, we will make use of 3 different tools. The QoE web user interface. This interface contains a section to add new schedules for benchmarking, and the section contains a form with all the parameters that has to be filled in order to create a new benchmarking test. A viewer of Docker cluster called portainer.io, which is a third-party application, and here it's possible to see all the containers running in the cluster and the logs for each of them. And finally the front-end web interface of the target cloud provider. In this case we will use a node of the Fireware Lab cloud infrastructure. Here we can see all the virtual machines that are running in the cloud. So to start, we go back to the QoE portal and fill in all the parameters requested. We have a set of parameters for accessing the cloud, like the username and the credentials. Then we have a set of parameters related to the type of virtual machine that we want to test, for instance the operating system and the size. And then we choose the test to be executed and the repetition periods of the different tests. When we save, the scheduling is stored in the database and a new test is triggered immediately. So if we go back in the Docker viewer, we can see how a new container running the benchmarking suite has been created. The code of the benchmarking suite first create a new virtual machine on the target cloud provider and then execute the tests on this virtual machine. And in fact, if we go on the cloud interface with Fireware, we can see how a new virtual machine is being created and configured by the benchmarking suite. After the testing environment is ready, the benchmarking suite starts to execute the test one by one. It can take time, it will depend on the type and number of tests. However, when the tests are finished, the benchmarking suite container is removed, and the results are stored in the QoE backend, which is a MongoDB database. In the database, each trigger corresponds to an execution of a single test, and we have a number of data related to the provider and to the environment where the test has been executed, and of course we have also the metrics collected during the test execution.